Hello everyone and welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. In today's video we're going to be talking about my 5 biggest regrets that I regret obviously doing for my account. Bearing in mind that I have, for those of you that don't know, been playing since March 2016. I took a 6-month break fairly soon into when I first started playing. I think I came back towards the end of the 2016 and I've been playing every day since, which it's kind of daunting to think about, really. I've been playing this game for so long now. And I still love it, obviously, all the Star Wars and collecting things. But anyway, that's not the point of the video. I'm going to be talking about my 5 biggest regrets that I've made. I do have 11.387 million GP. And that obviously means I've probably made quite a few mistakes, which I do regret. But I'm going to be talking about the 5 biggest ones today. So without further ado, obviously, if you do enjoy this, a like and comment is always much appreciated. And don't forget to hit that sub button down below, and let's jump straight into it. So first off, my biggest ever regret that I've done in this game was giving Karth his TB Omicron. I gave this ages ago while we were still doing GOTB because I actually had Relic Old Republic for quite a while. I just liked the look of it. I thought it might have been quite good. And it worked really well. Well, not really well, but it worked quite well in Lightside GOTB, where I think some of you may have seen that short that I made with Zalbar soloing Geos. That was because of this Omicron. That's how that actually happened. But outside of that video and just that few times I used that actually during Lightside GOTB, I just haven't used it. I don't really like it in the new TB, in the fact that I don't like the new TB, so I don't really tend to engage with it that much. And it just it's just a massive waste, essentially. I should have saved this Omicron and given it to someone else that needed it for maybe Grand Arena, because there are a few Grand Arena Omicrons that I would like to be giving to my roster, but I can't because I don't have any Omicron mats left, and I would really like TG to give us some sort of way of refunding at least one Omicron in our lifetime so that I could just take this one back and obviously not have to look back and put it back on again or anything like that, because I would quite happily take my 20 Omicron mats from this back again, because I do not use it at all. Next up on my list is Dad Bod Boba, or Boba Fett Cyanide Django. I just regret actually luckily he only has one Zetas, so I don't really regret that, but I just regret not actually finding him a good home to use him in like Grand Arena and things. I would have actually really have liked to use him obviously outside of his main use in Territory Wars, because as you can see I don't have any of the Territory War Omicrons, but I would really like to obviously use him as part of a bounty hunter team, or maybe give Chieftain his Omicron and use him in 3v3. But I do just kind of feel like his gear that I gave to him, obviously take him up to Relic 5 as well, would have just been better used on some characters that I actually use quite a bit. Obviously, a lot of you guys know that I have a fairly low Relic roster for my GP size, so those 5 relics that I put onto Dad Bod Boba could have gone on to someone else and really helped out my roster, where obviously the characters I'm using are lower Relic. I could have bumped them up a couple more Relic levels, but yeah, not really a massive regret this one, but still one that I would have obviously taken back and probably just left him at gear 12 or something to do at a later point when I could find a home for him. The next up on my list, I have Admiral Trench, another Conquest unit that was for Territory Wars. I'm kind of scared that Moff Gideon is probably going to get the same treatment as my Trench and my Dad Bod Boba, in that I don't really use him. The Trench, this one is mainly for the Zeta mats. I just regret not actually being able to invest properly into a Trench team. I didn't go for the Trench Datacron when that was around because I just felt like what was used better elsewhere. But obviously what is very good in this team, and Trench can beat like Jabba and things. I know he's a very good character and a lot of people actually like him, especially like Aesop. If you know Aesop, been on my channel, very good player. Obviously he loves his Trench team. And again, I don't do Territory Wars, so I don't apply any Omicrons on these characters either. So it just kind of meant that I've kind of neglected him for too long, really. I would like to get some more use out of him going forwards in Grand Arena, and we might actually do that with the new formats I've got coming out for that. So another big regret there, unfortunately. The next character I'm going to talk about is a bit more Grand Arena focused, and that is Asajj Ventress. The thing I regret here is her Omicron. I gave her Omicron obviously before Marion was released, thinking it would be really fun to actually use Night Sisters in a squad of their own. But obviously at that time, or just generally, Night Sisters are getting split up in that you are using like Darker and Zombie with SOK, for example, and obviously you can't then run a full Night Sister team, and it just kind of makes this a bit useless. I could potentially build a proper Separatist team with Trench and use a Sarge within that team, but I don't know if that's actually going to help a whole lot, but it might actually do a little bit with like the healing immunity on the AoE and things. Might be a bit useful, but we shall obviously see once I do eventually work on that team. But the main reason I regret this Omicron is because I kind of wish had saved it so I could have given Merrin hers first, and obviously then if I wanted to, I could have given a Sarge her one, obviously when I've started to use Night Sisters more. Because the only thing with Merrin is that if I gave Merrin her Omicron, obviously her Omicron can counter a lot of very good teams because of all that constant plague, and that would mean I would have been using Night Sisters a lot more than I am now. So that means obviously I would have been more tempted to actually apply the Sarge Omicron then, and we would have got a lot better use out of it than what I do at the moment, because out of all Grand Arena Omicrons, which I have a lot of, this is the one I do not use like at all really. I don't think I can remember a time where I've actually used it for the sake of actually using a Sarge's Omicron. Yeah, no idea. And the last one on my list is Omega. The regret here is giving her Zetas. I don't mind taking her to gear 12. She can just sit at gear 12 for me. I'm not too fussed about that. But obviously, the Zetas are really sparse and I really need them at the moment. Obviously, Relay around the corner and all the marquees we keep getting given are just needing the Zetas over her because I do not use her. She is not used by me at all. I would rather use Cody in a Bad Batch lineup. I know obviously there are advantages to using Omega in a Bad Batch team where you can get a pre-taunt on Wrecker, but I just felt like for the sake of using a Bad Batch team, you don't need her most of the time, so you can just get away with either undermanning it, or obviously like I mentioned, just taking Cody or another like Shakti, for example, as another option there. So I do think obviously we will eventually have to relic Omega up for some sort of requirements, because I do feel like a lot of other people are probably in the same scenario as me, have the relic Bad Batch from obviously the LB requirements and then just left Omega on the sideline, either at probably lower gear levels than I did. So that is going to be my top 5, well, just 5 of my biggest regrets that I could think of when I was scrolling through my account. I do hope you've enjoyed this little insight into what I regret obviously doing from my time playing the game, which has been a very long time. This is probably the one I regret the most, is the Cart Omicron, because I literally get no use out at all. At least with the Sarges, I actually got a little bit of use out of it and still could get use out of it. But let me know down in the comments what regrets you've done in the game, whether that's like Omicron, Zetas, gear. There might be some things that I know a lot of you probably have regretted doing on your account, especially those of you that are running a smaller account with obviously a lot more to do in the game now than there was when I first started. So I'd like to hear your take on that. And just thinking, actually, there is one recent regret that I would like to add in as a bonus, and that was during my time where I was getting stuff ready for Scout Troop, obviously for layer requirements. I was getting the Gear 12 gear ready to apply, and I accidentally gave Gear 12 Initiate that I have on my account a Gear 12 Plus piece. And yeah, I was not very happy. But luckily it was only a keypad, so it wasn't that big of a deal because it wasn't a super rare Gear 12 piece. If it was a furnace, I definitely would have been a lot madder than I was when I did it. But keypad isn't really too much of a big deal. And you never know, I might actually take Initiate to relics at some point. I don't think it's very likely that'll ever happen, but you never know. I just keep telling myself to make myself feel a little bit better. But that is going to be it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, thank you very much for watching, and I shall catch you in the next one.